Ramey, Matt, how you doing?
Excellent.
Fantastic.
That's awesome to hear. Super glad to have you guys here. Um, as some of the people viewing may know, you guys do a lot for MSPs when it comes to online marketing. But I do want to start off where we'll kick it off with a little commercial part, right? And then we'll dive into some educational content for the people. So let's start with Matt, just because you're first on the screen. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your business and what you do for MSPs?
Sure. My name is Matthew Rodela. I started off, maybe 15 years ago, working in the IT field and started my own solo computer consulting company for a while. And then realized as I started, because I was blogging about it and I started a podcast about it, and slowly realized that I liked the sharing my journey part of the process and helping other IT businesses part of the process the most. So I decided to dig into that. And from that sprang my first product called Tech Site Builder, because I love building websites. A lot of IT businesses had really bad websites, so I wanted to help them out. So I created the Tech Site Builder product. And then fast forward to today, I joined forces with my co-founder, Ramey Bell here, and we started Tech Marketing Engine, where we brought together a couple of the products I was working on, Tech Site Builder and Tech Blog Builder, and then brought his Tech Reputation product under the same umbrella. And now we kind of package them all together and provide the suite of online marketing tools for businesses. And we've been having a lot of fun doing that.
That's awesome, man. Let's pop over to Ramey. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, what Matt said. My name is Ramey Bell, and I got my IT start by working as a subcontractor on a Microsoft campus, because at the time I was living really close by, and my responsibilities were helping out the developers at NT4 at the time. So that's where I got my true taste of, being on site in front of customers, working in the technical aspect. But I always enjoyed, because I had a marketing job before that, and I always enjoyed marketing more than the tech stuff. So I decided to marry them and go after positions that involve technology. So I spent some time as a system integrator. That was the fancy name for MSPs at the time. That kind of dates myself. And that was basically just, system integrator was an MSP basically. And I did sales and marketing for them as well as a tech. And again, the marketing bug got me. So I moved into a sales and marketing role there. And then since then, I've worked with an advertising agency, and I caught up with Matt here and really put our products together as complementary and helping MSPs and IT businesses really find success in marketing online. So it's been a fun ride.
That's awesome. So, I kind of, I thought I'd bring on a couple marketing guys so we could talk about technical no, I'm kidding. I thought I'd bring on a couple marketing guys so we could talk about marketing, right? So both of you do like marketing for MSPs professionally. So what I'd like to talk about today is I want to dig a little deeper. So, a lot of things that people see, especially MSPs, you got to get your title and description tags and alt tags on your images and, like surface level on page SEO. And that stuff's important. I get it. But I think there's more to it than just that. Matt, would you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's like anything where there are kind of surface level, easy things to take care of, the biggest bang for your buck kind of thing. And so a lot of times we'll start the conversation with, SEO, meta tags and description and the structure of the site and all that stuff, because it's low hanging fruit. It's easy to implement. And when you implement it, it does have a noticeable effect on your search results. So that's definitely surface level stuff that's important. And then once you take care of that, then there are the layers underneath that you got to look into. And there's, things like backlinking and things like, making sure that the content on your site is rich and specific, and you're using multimedia. And so there's all these different pieces, social media, there's all these different pieces of the SEO puzzle, the website puzzle, the online marketing puzzle, because that's all just SEO. Then there's a bunch of other stuff like conversions and analytics and, so many different things you can dig into that it becomes overwhelming, first of all, for people who are trying to learn it. So, that's why you kind of have to take care of that surface level stuff first. But then once you start digging in, there's definitely multiple layers under that. And the more layers that you can hone in on and optimize for your business, the better you're going to do in SEO, the harder the competition is going to have a job of catching up with you and all of that stuff. So it's definitely worth looking into once you've taken care of kind of that surface level stuff.
Excellent. All right. So with all this cool stuff we could work on, I have a nice little list, and I started writing up a document, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't get this document pulled up first, because the document, they changed their name. So my password's not autofilling. So just give me a second and I will get logged into this thing.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, like who decides, hey, let's just change our whole brand?
They didn't ask you.
Yeah, they didn't ask me my opinion.
Yeah.
I guess when your brand is also a pretty important name in like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you should probably just change your brand name.
What was that?
What was that?
What brand is that?
It was Jarvis.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered about
now
that.
It all falls together, right? All right. So, all right. So on page basics, I think, let's just rattle them off. We'll make it a checklist for people. Meta title and description, alt tags for images, proper heading structure, appropriate keywords. That's kind of the high level overview of on-page SEO, right?
I like to look at those as the foundation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the next thing that you should probably focus on would be, I like to call it your technical SEO. And what that usually would be is like SSL and mobile optimization, website speed. Are there any other things that you can think of that fall in that category?
One that I can think of off the top of my head is 404 links, dead pages on your site. Make sure those are redirected. So redirects and cleaned up so that you don't have dead pages and dead links. So kind of cleaning up your link profile and your sitemap, or I would fall under technical SEO as well.
All right. So that's helpful. So for those of you that don't know, when we talk about 404 dead links, 301 redirects, the 301 redirect is where the magic happens. So let's say somebody is linking to your website, also known as a backlink, and with that link, they're linking to, we'll call it the sign up for my services page. Okay. And maybe you decide I'm going to change the URL of this page to something else because I'm a weenie. And that's okay. I'm a weenie too sometimes. All you have to do is set up a 301 redirect, and that link will continue to work. It'll just take the old URL and pop it in as the new URL, and all is right with the world. Now, what does that say to Google?
When you don't redirect like that, it tells Google that your site has dead links, and that's not a good user experience. And Google cares about giving their users the best search results and the best experience on those search results. So when they see a lot of dead links, that tells them that that's a site that users aren't going to like to go to. So they're going to penalize you basically in the rankings for a lot of those. So when you 301 redirect, you're telling Google, oh, this page I might have, it might be outdated or it might not apply anymore. So I took it away, but I'm redirecting that link or that page, that URL to a more useful page for your search, for your searchers, right? Because that's what Google cares about. And so they're like, oh, okay, this person on this website took the time to help the users who might be visiting this outdated page, redirect them to a new page. That's something we like to see. So we're going to, I don't know, give you the blessing of the Google gods and make you rank better, more or less.
Perfect. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is search intent. Do you guys know about this concept?
Absolutely.
And just for the people watching that you're like, of course they know, you're interviewing them. This is all, I didn't discuss this stuff. I'm just hitting them like random questions. And I just assume they're on top of this because this is what they do for a living. So
yeah, well, I'll throw in the caveat that this stuff changes all the time.
yes.
However, we try to keep our finger on the pulse of all this stuff. So we should have answers for everything, but who knows? We'll see.
Hey, if your answer is different from mine, it's possible that I'm using outdated information too. Okay. So don't be afraid to tell me I'm an idiot. Just maybe nicer than that, but I'm sensitive.
Never.
So search intent. My understanding is Google pays attention to how people interact with your website. So, if they're getting what they're looking for, you can expect your rankings to improve. Similar to, the dead links and 301 redirects. But this is more like if I'm searching for, let's back up. So if I'm searching for a specific question, is my web page answering that question, even though I'm showing up on page 1 or wherever I'm showing up, right? So I think that's kind of how they're using search intent. Would you agree with that?
Well, I can give you an example of starting with the query. If someone just types in stockpot, don't ask me why I thought of this stockpot, but I just saw it in the kitchen this morning.
Oh, okay.
And that's a really general term, and that's where somebody is really starting out on their journey of searching. If they search best stockpots, maybe they're getting a little closer. If they start typing in specific model numbers of the stockpot, then the search intent is higher. So your page needs to answer, all of those to be the best result. And for example, the best pot and the model number might be answered by a review of it.
Got it.
On your page.
And then on Google's end, they're trying to interpret those very vague search terms and try to figure out your intent. And that's kind of where the term comes from. So for example, in the IT space, if someone searches for virus, do they mean, catching a cold, or do they mean a computer virus? And Google uses signals that person has done like before in the past. Have they searched for IT things in the past? Have they searched for medical things in the past right before this? And they use that as part building up their kind of search profile and trying to guess their intent. And then of course, if they type in virus removal, then Google's algorithm is smart enough to know that doesn't usually mean that they're trying to get rid of a cold. That means that they're trying to get rid of a computer virus. And so that's kind of on Google's side where they're trying to figure out what someone is intending to search for. And then on your end with the person with the website, you're trying to feed into that, what Google's trying to figure out what their intent is, with just making sure that when you're writing about virus removal, you're using all of those different types of terms that people would use to try to learn about virus removal, getting rid of a virus, how to remove a virus, just all the different forms of that query, so that you can kind of be caught into the Google's algorithm when it's trying to figure out what their intent is.
So my understanding when looking into this stuff is that Google has kind of boiled all this down to 4 different types of user intent. So there's informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional. the thing that you'll find is the same about all of them, is that they all end with the letters AL.
Let that sink in.
No, but okay, so you guys were able to rattle off like, okay, so if I'm searching for this, like if I'm searching for a stock pot, that's an informational, right? Or maybe an informational can be a longer, what do you call that? Long tail keywords, or
Yes.
Yeah.
Long tail.
so it could be how many calories are in water. That's informational. And I think the answer is 42. Does yellow snow taste like lemon or banana? That's informational.
This is an IT podcast, isn't it?
It is. We're making it fun, guys. We're making it fun. All right. So navigational. Are we talking about like, directions from my house to Matt Rodela's?
So when they use the term navigational, I'm wondering what they mean. So is that, trying to find a website on a specific topic?
It is.
And yeah, yeah, in that
Tricked
case,
you.
yeah, because I don't have the categories memorized, but I do know that search intent is typically, do you want to answer a question? Do you want to find a particular business or a particular business that does a type of thing, or do you want to buy something? Right, is kind of the way I think about it. And so that one would fall into, I'm trying to find a type of business or a type of website that it deals with a certain topic. That's where I would kind of consider navigational to fall.
All right. So maybe you want to search up Facebook login because you can't figure out where the page is, or you want to search for RocketMSP. So those are kind of navigational searches. Commercial. So is commercial. So the last two are commercial and transactional. So here's where I get a little confused. Transactional sounds like, I'm buying something. I want a flight from Cleveland to San Jose. I'm going to buy a mail order bride. Whatever the thing is that you're about to purchase, that's your transaction. But how's commercial work? Because we've already got information and navigation.
That is a good question. I'm not sure, Ramey.
I'd say it's more product, maybe. Interior.
Bingo. So if you want to look up that like Dell Latitude, whatever model they're using now, or a MacBook Air with the M1 chip, that's a commercial. If you're ready to buy the laptop, that's a transactional. And I mean, if you look at those major corporate web pages, they're even different pages. They've got the informational pages about the item, and then there's a completely separate page for you to purchase the item.
Yep. Yeah, and I would consider that brand. Like that's when I think of commercial, I think of brand and brand name and brand awareness. And so when you're to kind of translate that to IT businesses, if you're talking about repairing certain models of things or using or helping people with certain software, definitely name that software, name that brand. If and you want to also use your business as a brand, and so you want to mention your business and all of your website content and stuff like that, so that when someone is searching, because I've seen it where customers, they type in their own business name and their business is not at the top of the search results.
But let me tell you, some other IT businesses.
Yeah, and so they're not even using their own business name in their website enough for it to be on Google's radar. So that's something you always want to keep in mind, is to make sure that you're mentioning your business name on your website, so that when someone searches for your business, they'll be able to find it.
Awesome. Now, bounce rate. Ramey, is this one that you're familiar with?
Mm-hmm.
So explain to me, is a bounce when somebody Is that specifically when somebody goes to a single page and then just clicks away, or is it only when they're coming from like a Google search?
Well, it's measured in a Google search. I would say it's primarily from search engine. Yes. So if they go to your homepage or even an inner page, it doesn't matter. If they look at the page, oh, this isn't what I wanted, and they bounce in a couple seconds. It's a signal to Google that they didn't find what they were looking for.
Right. So there's a way to fix that, to reduce, whether you want to call it reduce or improve. It's a thing you need to do with your bounce rate, because no matter what website it is, a bounce rate is a very real thing. And I don't think anybody has a perfect 0% bounce rate. So I think the technical SEO stuff that we discussed is definitely a great way to reduce the bounce rate. Make sure that they don't land on a 404, sorry, page not found with a little sad computer on it. Make sure that your website's loading quickly. And I'd also probably say make sure it doesn't look like garbage. That's where Matt comes in, right?
Yes, I agree. Your website should not look like garbage. Yeah, so there's kind of two things to think about with bounce rate. There's the search intent that you want to make sure you're capturing, and that's kind of the low-hanging fruit, where if someone searches for virus removal, but your website is about curing the common cold, and they land on your site, but they're looking for computer virus removal, then it totally mismatches what they searched for and they bounce because it doesn't match what they thought it would match. So first of all, you have to just make sure that what you're promising that your website is going to deliver, it is what it's delivering. So that's where you don't want to say you do something that you don't do, or some people get into trouble a lot of times when they use like cutesy titles or jokey titles for blog posts, and they're trying to be like ironic or sarcastic, but someone's searching for like something that's about that topic, and then they land on your blog post, but it's an IT blog, and so they like bounce. So that's going to increase your bounce rate. So once your topic of your page matches what someone's searching for, then you want to make sure that you have a nice looking page, a page that loads quickly, and an engaging page, a page that keeps someone there. So that's where like engaging content comes in. That's where like multimedia, lots of pictures, lots of videos, lots of variety of text gets people to, focus on the page, really kind of, get engaged by it. And then the final kind of step of improving your bounce rate is to have a call to action, something for someone to click to go deeper into your site. Because once they go deeper into your site, the bounce rate is out. They haven't bounced, they've gone deeper. And so you've captured them. You've got your claws into them, and now they can't escape. So you can give them, that's where like lots of links on your page to other places on your website. When you say, these are the services we do, link to those service pages. So someone be like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. They click on it, they go to that page, they continue reading. So you're giving people reason to stay on your page and dig deeper into it.
I like that. So when I look at, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ramey, please.
I was just going to say, is keyword research on your list?
Oh, it's actually next on the list after I wrote the bounce rate one up.
Okay. Well, Matt picked a really good example of virus removal because it has multiple meanings. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to do the keyword research, and I won't go too deep into this, to know which other words help Google understand what your page is about. So antivirus, computer virus, other words that will help and keep that visitor on your page.
So I agree with that. So I do want to actually get a little specific about keyword research, because there's one that I just looked up for a buddy, and we were both kind of shocked because we learned a thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay. And Of course. I started using Brave browser because I I listened to that Joe Rogan podcast and it freaked me out.
I'm not even sure which one that references.
Dr. something Epstein from Friday.
Oh,
So just go listen to that one. Definitely do it right before bed so you have weird dreams, okay? All right, so I'm going to share my screen, and it's actually going to be to a tool that I use called Surfer SEO, and I'll even have a link to Surfer SEO down in the description. Full disclosure, it will be an affiliate link. That way, if you like it, you sign up. It'll help out the channel. So what I was doing in Surfer here was I was trying to figure out, let me get it shared now that I'm in the right one. Chrome has asked permission. Why Chrome? Go away. Why you gotta be like that? Surfer.
Chrome is like the new Chrome is like the new IE, where it just digs itself into so many different things, and it's impossible to get rid of once you install it.
Oh, see here's the problem. I'm on a Mac, right? I'm on an actually good computer. And I'm just digging it deeper, right, guys? And where other browsers might be smart enough to, pop up a window that says you should give us permission to do a thing. Brave didn't do that. So that's incredibly helpful. It's still upset. All right, well, I guess you guys don't get to see. So I'll just describe it.
Yep.
I'll just describe it. So what I did was I did a SERP analyzer, search engine ranking something.
Results page.
What was that?
Search engine results page.
Yeah, that one. That makes a lot more sense. So what this does is it'll basically show you all the results that pop up when you type in something. It's kind of like searching, but it also tells you more about the search. So I typed in healthcare MSP because I got a buddy who that's what he specializes in. He's an MSP. He focuses on working with healthcare providers. And I even made sure that I did the search in the appropriate city for him. So what ended up happening was in this SERP result, I see what is a healthcare MSP and healthcare managed service provider for like supplemental healthcare. And I learned healthcare has an MSP initialism. Who would have known? And an MSP in healthcare is not an IT guy. It is some type of program for insurance or something. So they'll basically like do managed insurance something. I don't even know. I don't care because it has nothing to do with what we were trying for. So we said, okay, obviously that's not the keyword we want to focus on. So we were able to start looking into other keywords. We did IT services for healthcare, computer support for healthcare, and then we even focused on like doctors and dentists and all kinds of other things, right? So we kind of landed on IT services for healthcare as the keyword that made the most sense in his city. But it's really important for you to look and use one of these tools and figure out, is this even the right keyword? Because if we would have made a page all about healthcare MSP, he wouldn't be getting anything, or he'd be getting the wrong thing and Google would be penalizing him.
Absolutely. So, that's a big pet peeve of mine, is you should not use MSP to describe your business on your website. That is an industry term. That is something that IT people use to describe our own businesses. But to the average consumer, that means nothing. And of course, in healthcare, it means something totally different. So yeah, MSP is not a good word to describe your own business to your customers. You want to describe your business of what problems are you solving for your customer. So IT services, that's a perfectly legitimate one. It could be technology solution provider. Or is there specific software that you're helping them with? So, it could be technology troubleshooting. It could be, whatever software they're using. HIPAA compliance specialists or HIPAA technology specialists, because that's using the language they use. So you always want to, not only when you're doing keyword research, think about the services you're providing, but how is your customer going to be asking for those services? And then those are the kind of keywords you want to be searching for.
Exactly.
I got frustrated searching MSP and getting Minneapolis St. Paul all the time.
Yeah, MSP is the initials for that airport.
Yeah. So I'm moving there now.
Cool. The best thing that you could do is be an MSP in MSP. So
Oof, confusing.
Ooh.
is that meta? Is that how you use that word?
You can't say that anymore. Facebook trademarked it.
I don't care what they did. So one of the other things that you should do is target more keywords though. So when you build a page, let me look at one that I built. So I built a page for a company, just screwing around, playing with my tools, and I built one for cybersecurity services in his city, and using Surfer, that tool I talked about earlier. It basically has it tells me all of the different things that I need to be ranking for besides cybersecurity services in XYZ city. So I'm looking to find that now. And I don't have it because that would make way too much sense.
That's a good example of what good keyword research is meant to do. It's meant to tell you like all of the ancillary side words that people might be searching for in relation to that main topic. And then you want to make sure you use those words in the content of that page, in certain headings of that page, maybe write a blog post or two with that topic as the main focus. And that way you're building up your credibility in that main topic, and then also all of those different kind of side words.
So here's one that I actually have that I can open. 6 key phases of an ERP implementation plan. I built this out in about 45 minutes with the client in a Zoom session, and I was just messing around again with my software, showing them what the software can do. So this here is, like I said, 6 key phases of an ERP implementation plan. And the main keyword we're looking for is ERP implementer, right? But the keywords, I mean, we're hitting everything from ERP implementation process, ERP implementation plan, new ERP system, data migration, ERP system implementation, project team, new system, business requirements. Like there's keywords all over the place on this thing. And as ridiculous as it sounds, like, business requirements, why does that have anything to do with it? And the answer, one of you I'm sure knows.
I'm not quite sure what you're getting at, but it's related, right?
So what happens is, when you look at like the top 20 websites that are showing up in the Google search for that particular keyword, if you were to analyze all the words on those sites and then try and pick out the keywords like business requirements, you'll find that there are some sites who have the same keywords. And the more sites in the top 20 that have the same keywords, the more Google thinks that's relevant. Does that help?
Right. That's what SEO Surfer does, doesn't it? If I remember right, it looks at the first 10 or the 20. Yeah.
It does. It looks up the first 20 in every search, and I think it does a pretty dang good job.
And then that's how Google's algorithm tries to decide what words are relevant to other words. In that it does that same process, right? It looks at the top whatever websites about a particular topic, looks for all the common keywords that they use, and then it knows that if someone searches for that other keyword, that it's related to this keyword. So that's where the keyword research comes in, because then that even though you wouldn't think that those words were related, or you wouldn't think to use that phrase in your page, it might now be worth it to use it in that page, because that's what Google sees as being relevant. And, at the end of the day, you want to do what Google thinks is best if you want to show up at the top.
And look, all I'm doing, guys, viewers, is I'm regurgitating stuff that I've learned throughout the years. And I just happened to have some notes here where, I just happen to see like the official terms. Like I can tell, like once I start talking about it, the light bulb goes off, like, oh, that's what he's talking about, because you already know this stuff. You just know it from doing it so much, whereas I know it from like reading about it. I think that's the difference between like, the IT guy who went to school and has the degree, and then the IT guy who didn't go to school but did this for 12 years.
Right, exactly. When you're in the trenches, you might not know exactly what something is called, but you know how it works and that it's a problem and how to fix it. And that's very typical in IT, and it's the same way in marketing, right?
Mm-hmm. Or go ahead.
I was just going to say, and one more difference between the two is one is testing and seeing results, where the other might not have.
Yeah, I only know things based on like, here's what I've read, and I've poked around a little bit, but you guys have done how many sites? Hundreds or thousands?
Probably over 1,000, not thousands. But,
okay,
it's getting there.
Hey, if it's 1,002, I'd call it thousands. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about what I'm going to say is the hardest thing for people to comprehend, but maybe not the actual hardest thing to do. And this is the one that's hard for me to comprehend, but I at least have some steps here that we can talk about as we go through this. Backlinks. Yeah. I'll have the guy that edits this put in some fancy, no, I won't. I'm the guy that edits this. All right. So backlinks, backlinks, right? If I say it 3 times, they have to appear like Beetlejuice.
It's an interesting topic, because everybody was saying that, Google's getting smarter about content, so we're not going to have to do backlinks anymore. And that's just simply untrue, because the original algorithms, and still today, rely on getting information to help rank sites. For example, if a site says, a link says stockpot model number, linking to this page, that tells Google a lot of information. And if there's a lot of those type of links, it just makes Google's job easier. If there's still links pointing to the stockpot site, and it might just say that stockpots, you want to mix up the links so that Google still understands more keywords. And getting links is getting harder and harder, because at first, there was only so many people requesting them, and now everybody's requesting them. So it does take a lot of time, but it is worth the reward.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing to keep in mind is you don't need like a million backlinks, right? Having one backlink come to your website off of Wikipedia is worth 10,000 backlinks from RocketMSP and Tech Marketing Engine and everything else. No offense to you guys, but let's face it, our website is not as popular as Wikipedia.
Exactly.
We are no Wikipedia. We're close. but not quite.
So, the way that you can win with backlinks is quality backlinks. So I think, one of the ways that you always hear is, reach out to other websites and ask them to link to your content. Does that work?
I mean,
Not as effective. It's not as effective anymore. Your site has to be really good, and you have to do a lot of quantity to get results.
Mm-hmm.
I think the act of in and of itself, where you reach out to another website that's highly reputable that matches your topic, and if you're able to get a link from them, somehow in content, that's great, and that's still a great thing to do. However, a lot of marketers and SEO guys are doing that, and so I don't know if you've experienced this, but we experience this almost daily. We'll get these emails from these SEO guys saying, "Hey, I've got this great, blog post. Why don't you link to it? I've got this great page. Why don't you link to it?" So the act of reaching out is not as effective because people are doing it all over the place, and and people are getting blind to it. But the act of actually getting that link from another website is still very useful. You just might have to go about it in different ways. You might have to approach the business owner, through LinkedIn or at a local networking convention where you can build a relationship with them, and you're not, because it just ends up being spam, right? You're spamming people to try to get a link to their website. You're sending them unsolicited emails asking them to do you a favor, basically. Whereas, the better approach is to use your network, find people, get to know them, build a relationship with them, and then start, helping each other out with links and that kind of thing.
One sec.
Oh, you just muted yourself.
Good. 1 second. My daughter's knocking on the door.
Okay.
She just wanted to let me know she was home.
Aww.
As if the stomping around and door slamming was it. It was really cute though, right? Oh no. I removed Matt. Whoops. Oh. My bad. All right. So we talked about, we talked about, possibly reaching out to like the owner, but the owner's probably the same guy getting, how many emails I get every day from India and Pakistan and wherever else offering great web development and app development services? I'm sick of it.
Yep.
I'm absolutely sick of it. And another thing I used to see, and like I still see it on websites, those spam comments on the blog post. So does that even work? Like if I recall correctly, there's a thing called no follow that you can add to a link. And doesn't that disable it from being viewed as a backlink or something like that?
Yeah. So that basically tells Google not to follow that link when it's crawling, and use that link as a citation or, a vote. Basically in Google's algorithm, it sees links as votes. And so when you link to another page, that website is kind of voting for that site, saying, "Hey, I give it a seal of approval. I say it's, relevant. It's about this thing that I linked." That just tells Google to ignore all that. And so going back to the beginning of this conversation where, we kind of set it up as backlinks aren't useful anymore, or they're not as useful. I think the crux of that is Google has turned the knob down a little bit on the usefulness of backlinks, because there's so many other signals that they use now. And they've also clamped down on all of the ways people have been abusing backlinks, because in Google's eyes, a backlink should be, I own website A and I'm linking to website B because I think website B is a relevant source of information for what I'm talking about. But what people were doing was website B was coming to me and saying, "Hey, let me give you $5 for you to link to me." And Google was finding lots of ways to figure that out, that was happening, and to cut it off. So another way is, like you said, content spam, comment spam. A lot of those comments have no follow links on them. If they don't, Google has gotten smart enough to know you're leaving a link in a comment, and it's going to not even bother to recognize that. So a lot of the the techniques that people used to try to game the system aren't as effective anymore. That's for sure.
Now, one of the ways that I hear about is to create guest blog posts for other websites. So, for example, if I were to start creating guest blog posts for, Datto and Tech Marketing Engine and all these other MSP channel companies, would that start to tell Google, okay, this is actually good content he's writing, and it's linking back to this guy's website? Is that good stuff?
You want to take that one, Ramey?
Sure. One, it's relevant because you're on, IT related websites. Two, the link will be in context in the blog post, hopefully. So it's not at the footer of the page on all pages of the site. It's one link. And over time, those links do help. So that's still a worthy tactic in gaining links on the internet.
Now, what about submitting your website to directories or review sites?
That's more of a local SEO play, in that Google wants to see longevity and accurate name, address, and phone number, so that they can say, okay, this is a trustful business. They've appeared in all these directories, and all the content is the same. And this is managed primarily by Google's business profile product, which I think that's the name of now. Instead of Google My Business, they renamed it once again. And
why not?
So, yeah. So, and we offer the service of managing all that for you, so you don't have to open accounts, verify an email, and then type in all your information. We talk to the APIs in the back end of each site and look for duplicates and synchronize information when you make changes.
Now, there are other companies out there. What's that huge one?
Yext, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's a huge company out there called Yext, and they offer that service, and I signed up for it. And after a year, I was like, I'm not going to keep paying for this. It's not like I moved over and over. So as soon as I stopped paying for it, it's like my address and phone number reverted or removed itself. That's kind of shady.
It's not so much shady is there's so much information that the three primary data providers get. It could be a cell phone bill, electrical bill, where the information might have got transposed or changed by either party. And then that gets fed into the system, right? And then it propagates down to all the sites. So what Yext provides is this is the information of truth, so to speak. This is the information that's correct. Don't overwrite it and don't add to it. You're in control of that, not some other entity. And that's what you're really paying for.
Got it. Okay. So, and you said you do that as well.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So, let's see. So that's frustrating, but okay. What about, I see here, one of the recommendations is connect with other bloggers and social media users in your industry. I don't really see how that generates a backlink, though.
Well, we've partnered on webinars with other companies, unlike ourselves. We partnered with a sales enablement type company, and that generated links on the blog posts, in social media, and on YouTube itself. So it definitely does help.
Got it. Okay. So it's not that they're saying go make friends. They're saying build strategic partnerships and do things with each other.
Yes. Definitely.
Okay. But the most important thing that I've found, and this goes back to, I think this goes back to the point I was making in maybe my no, it was the improve your bounce rate point. Okay. So in order to get better backlinks and more backlinks, you need better content. So if you want to reduce your bounce rate, don't have content that sucks. Have a website that makes sense, it's well organized, and it gives people the answers and information they're looking for. You want more backlinks? Have a website that, again, is well organized, has a lot of information, gives people the answers they're looking for.
Yep. It all goes back to having good custom specific content and lots of it on the website, and making it the website experience a pleasant experience. Because at the end of the day, if you have these partnerships with other people and they're going to link to your site, number one, they're not going to want to link to your site if it's hot garbage, like we talked about earlier. And number two, if someone does, click the link from their site to go to yours, you want them to like what they see and want to continue to engage with you as a website and as a business. And so you're definitely trying to put your best foot forward on the website, and with the content, keep them engaged and make sure you get found.
Now I have one last thing I want to talk about. And I'm not sure if this is actually a great marketing thing or not, but for me, it works. When I search for something and I see it, it works. It's called, what's it called? Rich snippets?
Yeah.
Or what's the Google term for it?
That is your Google term for it, isn't it?
Schema.
Schema. Yep. That's it. Schema markup. That's the code that you use. Yeah.
So do you do this to the websites you build?
Yeah. So that's built into Tech Site Builder, which is the platform that we offer to IT businesses to build their own website on, or that we build a website for you. We can do both. And we have on all of the pages, schema markup built into the code, so that, automatically when you plug in your address, it's got the schema for address, around it, so that it could provide those rich snippets to Google. So you're basically just putting extra code in the website to say, this is our address, this is our phone number, this is our product page, this is a review that we received. And that way Google can just get to know the sections of your page better, so that if someone searches for, IT business reviews, it can pull out the section of your website that has the review in it and put that, and Google can actually put that in its search results, to say, hey, here's a review that someone received. So that's how, like, when you search for a product and you see like the 5 stars actually listed in the Google search results, that's because someone used the schema markup for review and did all the code they needed to do to have it show up with the 5 stars and everything in the Google search results.
Now, one of the things that I've recently learned is it sounds like you don't want to just add every single schema markup type to every page. Like, you don't want to add the address schema to every page. Even if your address is in the footer of every page, you should probably only have it on one page. That way, if somebody Google searches, what's Matt Rodela's address, Google knows the answer because it's on one page, and they're not like, oh, which one do I grab it from? And then they just don't grab it at all. So if you've got the answer on, like, or the markup, whatever we want to call it, on one page for each type of markup, then you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of the people that just, I don't know how schema markup works, I'm going to slap it everywhere. The other thing that I've learned is you probably don't want too many different types of schema markup on an individual page. For example, if this is a page for a recipe, there's recipe markup, right? you don't also want to necessarily include a review. Even though there are reviews of the recipe, the goal is for this recipe to show up as a rich snippet, not the review for the recipe.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, but it's not the end of the world, right? That's getting very in the weeds. And I think if you have the markup, you're ahead of most of your competition. And then, yeah, I think generally focusing each page on your site on one specific thing, one specific topic, one specific schema markup or whatever is usually better than having it, all over the place, because that gives Google a focus and it knows exactly what you're talking about. But I don't think that that's the end of the world if you do have, a bunch of different schema markups on the same page. A lot of times Google is smart enough to be able to pull out exactly what it needs for the search results in any given time.
Okay. Are there any tips that you guys have for better online marketing in 2022 for MSPs?
What do you got,
Don't
Ramey?
get net started on content.
Yeah,
I think
I'll get one started.
Well, I think in 2022 it's the same as it's been. the thing I think it's more important now than ever before is to have unique, highly focused content that is answering specific questions for your target audience, and that's always been true, and it's true more now than ever. And so it's just making sure that your fundamentals are strong and covered, and then once you have a strong foundation of good content, of a well-designed website, of good codes, fast sites, and then consistent content being generated, then all of the extra things on top, social media, and backlinks and directory listings and all that stuff will just enhance what you already have. But if you have all that stuff and you don't have a good foundation, then you're building your house on quicksand, and it's not going to really do you much good.
Yeah, I'd like to get in the soapbox just for 1 second.
Sure.
And talking about content, and one of excuse me, one of the things that we see out there that's the opposite of what we do, because we like unique content, and that's syndicated content, where the same post is used by 5, 10, 20, sometimes hundreds of different MSPs using the same content. And looking at that content too, it's really high level and very technical, which is not always the best form of content for someone searching for a new MSP, because they might not be technical in nature. They want to, they want to learn about cybersecurity. They want to know what the dangers are and what needs to be done to be protected by. So that's one example. But syndicated content makes it hard for Google to rank your website, because there's so many other Me Too's content out there. And using unique content that's written in your voice and written for your brand is a much, much, much better option.
I'll go on to say, if you are paying for syndicated content, and there's nothing wrong with doing so, because there are people that are going to go directly to your website, maybe customers or somebody that found you through local search that, maybe it had nothing to do with a blog post, right? But if you're going to use syndicated content, it's really important for you to disable Google, what's the term, guys?
Like the robots?
Yeah, make it so they don't index that page. Index the rest of your site, but make it so they're not indexing those syndicated pages, because if that gets indexed, then it, I believe, will actually hurt your ranking, because there are other companies out there that have unfortunately indexed that content, and Google's going to see, yeah, you guys are sharing content, so.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So that's if you are going to use syndicated content, you do want to make sure it's de-indexed. But and what we recommend is you can use both, right? You can use syndicated content and original content. I just wouldn't use only syndicated content, because then you have nothing to hang your hat on for Google for content. So definitely get a mix of there. But if you do want to have just content that's coming out on a regular basis to fill your blog with a bunch of stuff, to people that go directly to your site to be able to find and search through, syndicated content is okay. But still, going back to Ramey's point, it's not customized for your business. It's not speaking to your target audience. It's not attracting the people you want to attract to your business. Because as we know, the more narrow of a focus you can have, focus on healthcare IT, focus on law firm IT, focus on, different verticals of industries, the easier it is to market yourself and to show yourself as an expert. And so to be able to get content written exactly for that, for you, for your types of customers, will, have much better results for you than, 100 syndicated blog posts about just generic stuff.
I agree. Well, thank you very much, both of you, for popping on here and doing this. I really appreciate it. Matt, Ramey, seriously, both of you guys are awesome. Ramey, how do they contact you both?
Oh, on Facebook.
They contact you on Facebook?
No.
Oh, okay.
Ramey loves getting private messages from random people on Facebook.
Exactly. It's Ramey at techmarketingengine.com, and Ramey is spelled R-A-M as in Mary, E-Y.
And then I assume it's Matt at techmarketingengine.com for you.
You got it. I can't hide from you guys.
All right. So with that said, I'll make sure to put your email addresses directly in the text, so that way it just gets read by all those robots and you guys I'm not going to do that, but seriously, thank you for this. And for those of you that have no idea what you're going to do on marketing, and maybe you've got a marketing budget that you've allotted for the year, give Matt and Ramey a call. They'll help you out with your website, and they can take care of everything from the design, look and feel, rich snippets, blog content, and even getting loaded up with all the directories. And then they've even got a really cool way of building more reviews from your clients.
Yep. So basically everything we talked about today, we can help you with a Tech Marketing Engine. We focus on organic marketing. So like paid ads and stuff isn't quite our wheelhouse. We focus on just building that, good foundation of organic content that just keeps people finding your website over and over again and loving the experience. So yeah, check us out at techmarketingengine.com.
Love it. Take care, everybody.
Bye for now.